scam could happen to anyone.
It happens to everyone.
No matter how intelligent you are.
I fell into a trap.
All it needs is a bad day.
So we're talking billions here that these criminal networks steal every year.
And I never expected I could get abducted and enslaved ever since.
Over there on the other side, there are scam centers.
Each and every day I scam from people.
I want to tell my story to the world, to expose such a horrendous industry to the world.
Some time ago, 35-year-old Patrick Kay met a young woman online. Patrick works in IT and is active in local politics. He's also single. He was contacted by a woman named Emmy.
I used to mess around on Tinder, mainly out of boredom. So I had some time to kill and was just swiping around and so on. A few days later, I received a message in my Instagram DMs. It was in English. Hello, how are you? Very simple. I had no thoughts about it one way or another. I said to myself, give it a shot, and answered.
It became erotic. What happened next is happening to an increasing number of men. But very few are prepared to speak as openly about it as Patrick Kay. Yihao Liu is from China. He's familiar with these kinds of messages because he used to write them. Today he lives in Amsterdam for his own safety.
Before I was enslaved, I knew such a scam, and I was never expected to be part of it.
He went public about his experience, far away from the mafia's reach on the other side of the world.
Every scammer is expected to scam 15 to 25 people simultaneously. And you have to understand, those scammers usually work 16, 17 hours per day. And usually the scamming operation ended at midnight.
And that's exactly what Patrick was dealing with. Only he didn't know it yet. The pretty woman from Asia wrote him again.
Logical thinking went out the window. I was just getting more and more fun and pleasure from it. So I went with the flow and just did it.
Zurechtgeschoben gesagt, jetzt mach's einfach. Ja.
They grew closer and closer.
Well, they say men are simple creatures, and I'd agree with that. You get this rush, and your brain switches off, and you just go with it. So yeah, that's how I'd describe it.
This transnational crime shall skip the time and the space, give them the best tool to find their victim and to make the victim fall for them. So I would say the loneliness is the principal reason for it.
Und da hat sie ein Video
And that's when she started the video call.
wo ich erstmal eine asiatische Frau, die
First, I saw an Asian woman in a white bed with a white cover over her body.
Decke über sich in den Körper
And then suddenly she flung it
und
off.
dann auf einmal auch sich ausgezogen
And I could
hat
see her
und dann
naked.
konnte ich sie nackig sehen.
At the time, it seemed like this was happening live, but now he knows it must have been a pre-recorded video.
Also meine Erfahrung hat mir gesagt, ich sollte noch ein bisschen vorsichtig sein.
My
aber dann
instinct
hatte ich
told me to be a
gesagt,
bit
okay,
careful.
dann hatte ich versucht, ein bisschen
But then I
das
tried to
Gesicht,
show my face
zu
a bit.
zeigen. Dann habe ich mich nach hinten gelehnt.
And I leaned backwards.
Und
Then
dann
I
kam es ja
finished.
zu einem Akt.
He was recorded masturbating.
Als das Video
The video then cut out abruptly, and the audio message appeared, not even a second later, instantly.
Chatnachrichten sofort.
It was a message of blackmail. Addressing him was an unknown man.
Hey bro, do you want me to share your video?
Share the video with all his friends? Patrick was shocked.
Da hieß es dann nur,
Either I paid
ich
up,
sollte jetzt
or
entweder
he'd share
zahlen
everything,
oder er
the
schickt
pictures
jetzt das
and the
Ding zu.
messages.
Die Bilder und die Nachricht von der Sache.
Patrick was in for a very rough night. Yihao Lu has left all that behind him, faking false identities, luring victims into a trap. The perpetrators sit in rooms 8,000 kilometers away in Southeast Asia, in countries like Cambodia, Laos, and Myanmar. Hundreds of so-called scam centers operate here, ripping off people around the world. Secret recordings from the inside, highly organized, not unlike a call center, and they make billions. Up to 100,000 people are said to work in these centers in Myanmar alone. And many are forced to do so. A combination of billion-dollar fraud and human trafficking. At the Crime Prevention Division, the United Nations in Bangkok analyzes global fraud networks.
There's a very close connection between the online crime of these fraud centers and human trafficking. We see a lot of people working in these centers who are not there voluntarily. They're held captive, like slaves, and they're forced to defraud people and take their money, and under circumstances that you couldn't even imagine.
Hi, my name's If you listen to this, please help us, we really need your help.
A desperate voice. An emergency call from a scam center. Jay Kritian receives messages like this all the time. The Thai activist works for an aid organization and is committed to fighting human trafficking.
If you have any way to help us, please do. Because here it's like hell on earth. And we are shocked, we are beaten. We are like animals around here.
Jay helps people who want to escape, even at night. Sent her the location where he was being held. He was only a few kilometers away, across the border in Myanmar. Then he sent a video. Is 31 years old from Kenya. He was injured and says he was beaten for 6 hours. There are bruises on his leg. He only wants one thing, to get out of there, with Jay's help. But that particular day was too risky. Nobody managed to escape that night. the border town of Mae Sot. There at the back, the crossing to Myanmar. The country is descending into a bitter civil war, and the crime syndicates are taking advantage of the chaos. Here, they can operate their billion-dollar business undisturbed. One of the scam centers lies behind the border river. Jane receives many calls for help. Prisoners pass on her cell phone number to other prisoners. Sometimes she receives 100 messages a day.
They are locked in dark rooms, without food or water, tied up, beaten with wooden sticks or metal rods. In the end, almost everyone is forced to participate in the scam.
The man desperately calling for help is actually a trained chef. He has his own restaurant in Kenya, but a lucrative job offer at a luxury hotel lured him to Bangkok. Everything seemed fine at the airport.
A car waited for us outside, a very good car. We entered the car. We were driven for like 9 hours.
9 hours? Something wasn't right. Started filming in secret, including his own kidnapping.
The agent lied to us about everything that was to happen. We came here blindly. What we were told is not what we found.
Once word spread among the prisoners that we had helped a few of them, everyone started trying to send information, to tell us where they were. Coordinates, names, even evidence when possible.
Was locked up in this building complex. His ID and cell phone were confiscated. But he managed to hide a second cell phone. That cell phone saved his life. And it gave investigators a rare picture of what actually goes on in these centers.
To date, I was one of the victims. Today I was shocked. It's not good, man. This is my first time taking the shocks and everything. Help us, we don't have strength here.
Another punishment, 24 hours of continuous standing. All because this person didn't steal enough in a scam. The other prisoners try to help. It gets even crueler. Secretly filmed this from a hole in the ceiling. Torture. The victim was electrocuted until they lost consciousness. Immeasurable brutality. They want to escape, even if it means risking their lives.
We are planning something. They went too far. So Jay, if anything happens, you tell my family that I love them so much.
Thomas W. is a wealthy pensioner from Bavaria who used to be a managing director. He met an Asian woman on LinkedIn.
Among other things, she asked me if I could tell her more about Germany or maybe teach her a little German so that she wouldn't be completely clueless when she came to Germany.
At some point, this story turned into a nightmare when scammers stole his money. That's why he wants to remain anonymous. His contact was the fake businesswoman Jean Wenja.
I just found it interesting, or at least not uninteresting, and said, why not?
She presented herself as sophisticated and athletic. There were pictures of cars, good food, and fancy handbags. Thomas W. thought the two of them had common interests.
I actually thought she seemed very authentic, honest too. So even when she wrote, "Honey, I miss you," I never felt like she was coming on to me. It was just chatting.
We shall have a long-lasting chit-chat from time to time and boost up, I don't know, maybe you struck a relationship at some point. And throughout that phase, as a scammer, I will instill this little notion into you. Oh, just by the way, I had this opportunity, investment opportunity, and I make a lot of money, but I will just very gently mention it without going too deep about it in the phase one.
There was a constant stream of new messages and new photos. This was the beginning of a rigged game. But the perpetrators have a different name for it: pig butchering.
The Chinese cartels would see the victim of the scam as pigs. By fattening the pigs, as inside the term, means the scammers shall gain the trust and build the confidence in the scam victim. And then, when the time is right, the scammer shall slaughter the pig.
Jean lured Thomas W. into what the scammer described as profitable investments.
And then, of course, I said to myself, okay, why not? You can give it a shot now with a few thousand or 2,000 or 3,000 euros. Why not?
But everything in the impressively designed app is fake. Of course, he didn't know that. Thomas believed he was investing. First 1,000, then 2, 5, 10, and then another 30,000 euros. Everything seemed to be going well. Jean was ecstatic. But his money disappeared into crypto accounts. Meanwhile, Patrick K's nightmare continued that same evening in Hanover. And the fraudsters ramped up the pressure.
My libido plummeted to zero. I was clear-headed. Maybe still a bit tired because it was quite late. But I reacted immediately and was really focused.
The fear of being exposed pushed him to act. Patrick didn't have much, but he scraped it all together.
In the end, it meant my bank account was totally in the red. That included overdraft charges, so I couldn't give any more money. But I still had around 2,000 euros in my savings account. I was also completely exhausted at that point.
After a sleepless night, he was totally depressed. He'd transferred around 3,000 euros. Would the scammer keep his word? And not send the video? What would his friends say? Thomas W. in Munich was investing ever greater sums. He traded with Jean for more than 4 months, and she kept spurring him on.
And then she said, if you want to get closer to the profits that I make, then you'll have to deposit more money on the platform. Because I didn't want that and was also feeling uncertain, I said I didn't have any available funds at the moment. And then, during this phase, I think she deposited $30,000 into my trading platform, into my account, so that I could make higher profits.
The trick worked. Researchers at the Helmholtz Center for Information Security are trying to understand the scammer's methods better.
The attackers set up a website. There's a number. It multiplies. It gets bigger and bigger. Maybe you can make a few transactions at the beginning where you receive payments back from your own account. And once you've taken the bait or seen, okay, I invested 5,000 and got 7,000 back, then the next time you invest 50,000. And then the website shows that you've earned 150,000, but actually your money is simply gone at that point.
To track down the scammers, researchers used artificial intelligence to create a kind of virtual victim.
The idea is that we communicate with them and, on the one hand, we waste their time. But on the other, our primary interest is payment information, to gain a better understanding of how the scam works, how they defraud their victims. Once we have the payment information, we know how they operate and, ideally, how to stop them.
An AI that chats with the scammers, even on the phone. Does that actually work? Yihao Lu fought hard for his freedom. The 30-year-old man was an executive assistant when he was also lured to Bangkok with a job offer. It was a trap. He became a witness and smuggled hundreds of internal documents out of the scam center.
I was forced to cross the border and then transported into a scam camp called Dongmei camp.
After being abducted from Thailand to Myanmar, he became the mafia's prisoner for 7 months. But he also took secret photos of his prison.
I stand in the center of the camp and look outward. I would see wires, barbed wires, and fences. And furthermore, I could see armed guards to make sure nobody could cross that field to escape from the camp. I was like, why the am I here?
He didn't know whether to flee or fight back.
The cartel warned me, if I do not obey what they demand, then they could either punish me, torture me, or sell me to others. So I was like, literally lose myself. I mean, I was not cut for this. This is like the Netflix show or some criminal documentary I was watch.
In the first few days, he received training on how to deceive people. He remembers different rooms. In one, fake accounts were created, photos added, and backstories were invented. There, under strict supervision, trafficked victims were forced to communicate with their targets. To get out of that job, Yihao Lu offered to do the accounting for the syndicate. His records show that the criminal enterprise defrauded victims of nearly 4 million euros.
It's just like an industrialized operation. You have operation department to carry out day-to-day operation, and there is some developing team to watch out for new opportunities. It's just like a streamlined work.
For example, photos of young women are bought from criminal telegram channels or simply copied from influencers. But Yihao Lu was caught and tortured.
I was in the torture chamber for 18 days. I literally lost count how many times I was beaten up.
Towards the end, he was tortured with electric shocks. The mafia sent this video to his parents. They paid a ransom of $39,000, and after 7 months, he was released. Since then, his mission has been to raise awareness, collect evidence, and to expose the people behind the fraud ring. One name keeps cropping up: Wan Kwok Khoi. This criminal used to be a big shot in the 14K Triad, a branch of the Chinese mafia. His nickname? Broken Tooth. The Chinese mafia is active in Myanmar, where it has taken advantage of the chaos consuming the country since a military coup in 2021. This footage from the border town of Myawaddy was shot in secret. Most of the fraud centers are located here. There are many profiteers in this world of rival gangs, gambling, and corruption.
People usually imagine these guys as people walking around wearing dark sunglasses and carrying guns in holsters. But really, they're business people. And actually, they're very deliberate about presenting themselves as business people. They tend to talk about investments.
A passing view of the nearby Dong Mei camp, where Yi Hao Lu was imprisoned. Broken Tooth has invested in this area. Here are proud photos taken during the opening. Originally, the plan was to turn the buildings into an entertainment complex, but during the corona pandemic, they were converted into a scam center.
And in my case, Broken Tooth shall fall into that group. He is the shareholder of the compound, or at least the initiator of the compound.
New photos and videos appear online constantly. Here, he's with another high-ranking Triad member at an airport in Laos. Journalists cannot reach Wan Kwok Khoi. Meanwhile, the scam center business is booming.
We reckon the profit is comparable to the drug trade. Drug trafficking in Southeast Asia and East Asia is worth about $60 to $80 billion a year. And we assume the fraud business is on a similar scale.
Pictures taken from social media show Broken Tooth at the beginning of the year, paragliding in Laos and partying. He seems pretty confident, despite US sanctions and investigations. The chef from Africa had been a prisoner in Myanmar for 4 months, living at the mercy of his boss's brutality, dreaming only about escaping. Then he saw an opportunity and seized it. It was a courageous leap. He says he hid in the bamboo and ran through fields. But they pursued him.
I was running for my life first of all, and I was running for my family. I didn't look back. I don't know where the energy came from, but I ran as fast as I could.
Made it, swimming across the river to Thailand. He'd been forcibly imprisoned, but he had also defrauded people. So he had to convince the Thai police that he was also a victim. Jay Kritian helped him do that.
Jay is someone, until now, I respect so much because when I was almost giving up, when I was almost surrendering and giving up, Jay was the only person who gave me hopes.
Thomas W. had been in contact with Jean for 8 months. She wrote to him all the time. In the meantime, he invested more than 250,000 euros, and his doubts were growing.
I told her, Jean, I don't know. And in another situation, I'm not so sure, send me your ID card. She sent me that too.
my ex-slaver. One of their way was photoshopped a ID card to present it to its potential victim, and I had seen it by myself, so I am not surprised at all.
He wanted his money back, but no matter how many times he tried, no money returned to his account.
It's not good when you've wasted so much money. It affects your life and your family life. That's how it is. An incident like that has a major impact. I realized pretty quickly that I needed to report the case to the police.
This is where the case ended up. As one of many, the Bavarian Public Prosecutor's Office at the Central Office for Cybercrime. These kinds of reports come in almost daily.
When you look at the victims, you realize there is no such thing as a typical victim. What we can say is that they tend to be well-educated, professionally successful, with funds at their disposal that they can invest. Individual victims here in Bavaria have lost up to 3 million euros. That's the financial side. It's also very important to see the personal consequences of crimes like these. There have been a number of suicides, serious suicidal intentions are often expressed, and in some cases families are broken up.
Thomas W. has also taken matters into his own hands by hiring a law firm that specializes in this type of fraud.
It's perfectly organized. Just as you have the perfect murder, you also have the perfect fraud, and that's what we're seeing here. The perpetrators are trained. Their work is organized. There's always some fraudster on duty, round the clock, keeping the victims on board, calling them, writing WhatsApps, anything and everything to prevent them from having a moment where they might have second thoughts or ask for outside help.
It turns out there's a whole network behind the scam, highly professional and organized. Thomas W.'s money flowed first into a Bitcoin account. From there, it was distributed and transferred. Two specialists are trying to trace the route. They've managed to track down perpetrators this way before.
What we noticed right away, of course, was how professional the perpetrators are. They've made a lot of money and operate on a grand scale. If you take another look at the case, you can see that the perpetrators are still active today.
The trail ends at various Bitcoin accounts, owners unknown. From here, it's up to the relevant authorities to investigate. A reverse photo search reveals more. The LinkedIn profile of the person playing Jean appears multiple times, as Esma, Maury, Evangeline, and Lucy. The photo is the face of an amateur Thai model. The agency in Bangkok cannot be contacted. We show Thomas W. the photos.
That's her. I never thought it could happen to me, but it did. There was just something about the pleasant manner of the person who contacted me.
Had to scam people just like Thomas W. while hiding behind a woman's profile.
We were using a woman's profile. The job we used to pretend to have was a business lady.
Now, is back in Nairobi with his family. He still remembers exactly how he was used to scam people.
We didn't exactly tell them that we were rich women, but we used to tell them. We used to show them the photos, the luxurious life we live, the meetings we had that day, you know.
Artificial intelligence helped him.
You don't know how to chat as a woman. So you could ask ChatGPT some questions how you can get man's interest. And because I'm a man and I know what I would like from a woman, so we could just do that.
We're seeing more and more artificial intelligence being used to carry out these scams. And you can now sit here in Southeast Asia and practically target victims halfway around the world without any real limitations. And at the end of the day, really anyone can become a victim of these scams. That's what makes them so problematic and why they're expanding so rapidly.
Hanover, Public Prosecutor's Office. 3,000 euros poorer, Patrick K. filed a complaint and compiled the evidence of his extortion. Weeks later, he received a file. It's thin. The investigation had already been closed.
Enttäuscht, ja, da ich
Disappointed,
gedacht
yes.
hätte, dass
I'd thought the prosecution might help.
die Verfolgung vielleicht irgendwas helfen kann.
The police only checked to see if the suspicious account had been flagged before. The fraudster did not send the video. Patrick shared his story with his friends to warn them of the potential dangers.
Everything was great with my friends. They all responded really well and said they thought it was really brave of me to speak out. They showed me a lot of respect. One friend told me that the exact same thing had happened to her brother.
In Munich, Thomas W. is still waiting for results after filing his report 6 months ago.
It's unbelievable. You could even see it as an invitation for fraudsters in Germany to get into this scam, because they know full well that months or years can pass before the public prosecutor's office here in Germany will take any action to prosecute them.
It has to be said that the provisions we have in the criminal code for confiscating funds are simply not really tailored to cryptocurrencies. This case is not really covered by our laws.
In response to our query, the German Federal Ministry of Justice said they saw no need for amendments and that the current law is sufficient. Cryptocurrencies can already be seized, but in reality, that is also difficult to do.
Especially in the area we're talking about here, investment fraud on the internet, pig butchering scams, there's a serious trend in the rising case numbers. And unfortunately, of course, when it comes to the service providers, in quite a few cases, we don't receive any information from them at all, especially if they're not regulated, if they're based in countries that don't cooperate so well. And that means that we're often stuck at a kind of dead end.
Meanwhile, Jay Kritian continues to receive calls for help.
การกวาดล้างผู้เสียหายออกมาให้ได้มากที่สุดไม่ใช่เป็นแค่การช่วยเหลือผู้เสียหายชาตินั้นๆเท่านั้นแต่ยังเป็นการลด
My goal is simply to free as many victims as possible. But it's not just the victims here, it's also about reducing the victims of scams worldwide. That would help everyone. We need to work together, support each other, show compassion.
Recently, there was a big rescue operation. 10,000 kidnapped people were released from fraud centers in Myanmar. For a short time, Thailand and China turned the case into a state matter. And for a moment, they were visible. But the fraud machine continues to run. What about Germany? AI is being trained, and scientists have completed their artificial victim, a virtual man who will chat with scammers ad nauseum.
It's about following the money because the scammers always have financial interests. So we want to understand how they choose their contacts and how they have this financial information. So this is PayPal. This is a crypto account. And if we understand how they get the money, we can then collect these addresses from PayPal, for example.
They practice conversing with the AI. The software has already chatted with hundreds of fraudsters, and each time, the AI managed to obtain information about where the would-be victim should transfer the money.
We then make this information available to PayPal so the accounts can be blocked. That's also automated, so we can understand the financial flows as well as how to block them to stop the fraud.
Stopping fraud, or at least curbing it, that's their mission.
I want my justice, and I want my revenge. And also, there will be lots of innocent people, either the victim of scam or the victim of human trafficking could be saved and could be rescued.
I felt very bad. I felt very, very bad. Each and every day waking up to knowing that you're going to scam from people.
In any case, I would also like to encourage others. Don't be silenced. Shit happens. Speaking out made me stronger. And in the end, I want to be stronger than the perpetrator.
With every person who speaks out and every technological advancement, the fraud becomes a little less powerful.
I am AI, and I have an infinite amount of time.